Hello everyone, welcome back. In my last video, we have seen how we can create one SM30 like application using RAP. So basically, we have created multi-line added transactional capabilities application. But to create that application, what we did for one table, we created the CDS view, then consumption view, we created the base view, behavior definition, then we created the consumption behavior definition, service binding, service definition, service binding. These all the objects we have created one by one manually along with that singleton interface CDS as well. So it will take lot of effort each time when you do this kind of activity. That is the reason SAP have given us one ready-made application which you can generate automatically using one click. In SE11, we have something called table maintenance generator. As soon as you generate the table maintenance generator, one SAP GUI SM30 screen will be generated where user can maintain the data. In the same way, in RAP or in Fiori world, we have something called business configuration maintenance object, where with one click, we can generate all the artifact which we have created in my last video. For one table, in one click, you will generate the base CDS, consumption CDS, base BO, consumption BO, behavior pool class, service definition, service binding, everything. And it will give you one ready-made application out of one click. And that ready-made application, again, you no need to create that, or out of that OData service application, you no need to create. SAP provided one application called Cubco. That application directly you can go to there in that application and maintain your table directly there. You don't need to create separate Fiori application out of that. So you might have created a lot of application throughout these courses, but ultimately what we are creating, we are creating one OData service with a lot of OData annotations, where once the Fiori guy will consume this OData, that time it will automatically generate one application, and that can be deployed again in either in the same ABAP system, or you can deploy on the BTP as well. That also I will try to show you how you can deploy, but before that, now we will create this SM30 application using one click. So let's get started. To generate all the artifacts which we have created in my last video, just you have to right click on your table and you have to select generate ABAP repository objects. As soon as you click on that object, there are multiple options, but as of now we will discuss how to create the SM30 like application. So for that you have to select this business configuration maintenance object where user can go and maintain the data. As soon as you select this one, it will ask for the package. Once the object is generated, in which package you want to save, you have to give appropriate package. And once you have given the package, it will generate automatically all the objects that I will show you in the system as well. And once the object is generated, you can see your application as well. The most important thing, there are two aspects. One is this business configuration maintenance object, which you are generating in your ADT, and second is this Cubco app called the custom business configuration app. Unfortunately, I will be not able to show you this Cubco app because we are working currently in the trial account. I don't have access to this Cubco app in the trial account, but I will show you. If you are working in the on-premise system or ABAP on cloud, you can still configure this app and the C. But in our case, what we will do, we will create this business configuration maintenance object, all the object, and we create our application to maintain the data. Instead of directly going in the Cubco app and maintaining the data, we will create our own application. That also we can do, and we can maintain our data. That also I will show you, no need to worry. But before going to anything, there is some prerequisite for your table. Which table you are using for the table maintenance generator, or you generating for generating this all the object, that should be mandatorily client field should be there. If there is some multiple tables are there where the foreign key relationship is there, or we have the text tables for that particular fields. Those tables also should have client dependent, and your delivery class of your table should be C. If you don't give or you don't follow these all the prerequisite, when you generate the objects, that time immediately you will get the error, and you have to fix that table, and then only you can generate these all the object. Your table class should be the customizing, delivery class table delivery class should be customizing, and the data maintenance allowed annotation should be there in your table. Apart from that, if you want to use e-take in your application, then you should use one of the field type ABP local instance last change underscore timestamp type this field. Then when the application is generated, it will make sure that your application is consistent and e-take handling is done properly. And apart from that, you should have this particular field called ABAP last change TMPL field, one of the field which will be used for the total e-take, because this application whichever you are generating, it will be the draft application. So it should be there. If you don't use this kind of field, so there is something called another CDS is there that will be included in along with yours table, and it will be used for the e-take handling. But if you use this field, then that particular field itself used as a e-take handling. It's not mandatory, these both are not mandatory, but if you don't use that, you will not get the e-take or total e-take functionality. Total e-take functionality anyway you will get using the CDS, but e-take functionality you will not get if you don't add this particular field. And last field, if you have key field should be having some domain type. It should be, you should specify some type. You should not declare generic field without using the abap.char, something like that. You have to specify the type, and you have to declare the data and element and domain for your key field if it is the character like field. Otherwise you will get the error immediately if these things you will not follow. This one thing is optional, but it is better to have e-take in your application. That is the reason you should include this field as well. So without wasting the time, let's jump into the system and create this kind of table, so we can, out of this table we can generate the Fiori application. I have already created one package where we will create this business configuration app. So let me create first table. Let me click on other ABAP repository object and select the table, database table, and give some appropriate, let me use this name, and give some description as well. Employee table, click on next button and select one appropriate TR and click on finish button. I have already all the fields. Let me paste it out, except F1. Let me do Control F3. Is a prerequisite we saw, our delivery class should be customizing, it should not be application table, and data maintenance should be allowed. And apart from that, I have already these two fields added, one for the e-take, one for the total e-take, and my table have client field. I have fulfilled each and everything. And one most important thing, your key field should have some data type. If you are not using some data element, instead of you're using some abap.k10 or numc or something like that, then also you will get the error. That is the reason I have created already some data element. So let me right click on my database table, and we have option called generate ABAP repository object. Let me click on that, and we have to use this business configuration BC maintenance object, BC object, to create SM30 like Fiori application, and that application we can see directly Capco application once all the artifacts got generated. So if you see the description, create a SAP Fiori-based table maintenance app for a customizing table. Click on next table. As soon as you click on next table, you will get the error that your table should be customizing. And if you fix this error and come back here, and again you will do the same thing, you will get another error called the data maintenance should not be restricted, it should be allowed. So let me do both the things because I don't want to get error again and again. So it should be allowed, and the delivery class should be customization. Let me activate this table. Let me go again, click on generate ABAP repository object, select the business configurational maintenance object, and click on next button. This time it asks for the package. Let me give the same package which I have created just now. Click on next button. As soon as you click on next button, you will see all the object which will be created through this configure generator or wrap generator, we can say. You can see all the object names here. So we will see one by one. Scenario option we will see, no need to worry. First, the BC management object which will be responsible for this business configurational application management. There is two additional artifacts will be created, one for the BC maintenance object and another to maintain the transport from one system to another system. That one transport object is created, and one is the name of this particular BC maintenance object which will be visible in your Cupco app. So these two things will be created apart from the regular artifacts which we create in our normal wrap application. Apart from this, we have the business service, means service definition name. We have the service binding name. It will automatically create it. Then we have the data model name. Data model means your draft table name which will be generated. Entity name. In my previous video, if you saw, when we created the SM30 like application, that time we created one root entity, that was the dummy entity, and we have created the child entity as well. The dummy entity also, in this case also it will be created. The application will be the similar what we have created in my last video, but it will be generated automatically without any coding. We don't need to create one by one all the artifacts, it will be created automatically. So your root entity name, or we can say singleton entity name, will be the table employee table all, and your description of that singleton entity will be the employee table singleton. The interface view name will be this one. The projection view for the singleton entity will be this one, and one field we have used to link the root and travel and root and the child entity. That field was the key field was the singleton ID, which value we have given the alias name as singleton ID, and we have given the constant literal one. That field name we have to give here. If you want to change any one of the name, is for your convenience, you can change right away. Once these objects are generated, you will be not able to change the names. So that's very important thing. Apart from that, if you go inside the table, this is the singleton entity detail. You can see singleton entity detail. You can have the multiple table also, and you can have the text table also. As of now we have the one table. If you go and click on edit button, you can see for that table what is the table name, you already know. For this table, what will be the draft table will be created, what will be the entity name which will be created, and the entity description, interface view name for that table, and consumption view or projection view name for this particular table. So these all the names you can see here. This is the CDS view detail. And if you go to the behavior definition, there you can see the what all are the classes is generated. So in this case, obviously at the interface level it is mandatory. If it is required at the consumption layer, then this name will be given. You can change, if you want to change this for your naming convention, the names you can change here before generating this one. But as of now, let me click on next button. We will discuss the scenario option one by one. The first option is add copy action button. This add copy action button will be helpful on the object page. We are creating the new entries. Once we click on create button, then we are creating the new entries. But what we want to do, we have a lot of fields. We want to refer the existing entry, and based on that, some of the fields we want to change and create the new entry. That time it will be very useful. You can select the existing entry, click on the copy action button. It will copy the existing entry. You can give the new key field values and you can create the new entries. So that way this add copy action will be helpful. If you want that kind of button in your application, then you just have to select this checkbox. Second, add deprecate action button. This action button is used to deprecate and invalidate action in your generated app. If you want to add some option in application where you want to deprecate some of the entries or invalidate some of the entries instead of deleting that. So there might be some requirement in your table where you don't want to delete your entries from your table. Instead of deleting those entries, you just want to invalidate those entries, or you want to deprecate those entries, and you want to create only new entries instead of deleting that. Those kind of options are required. Then you have to use the second option called add deprecate actions. But there is a one prerequisite for that. If you want to use this kind of option, then you should have one field in your table with this name, and the type should be config underscore deprecation underscore code. This will be useful to deprecate that particular entry. So if you want to use this option, then you have one field in your custom table. The third option, add data consistency check. This is very useful if you have some of the fields which is having the foreign key relationship in another table, and if you have some of the fields which have the data element and domain have specific values. For example, you can have one field in our employee table called the gender, for that male and female, that will be maintained in your domain level. You want to validate those values, then you can use a data consistency check. But if you don't have those kind of fields and you try to check this box, you will get error. For that, you should have this kind of fields in your application where either they have the foreign key relationship or they have some domain values where against which the values should be checked. So that is very important thing. Now the last thing is this transport selection, and that is again very important. In my previous application which we have created, we didn't enable this option, or we didn't given this option because I don't have any privilege to create the customizing request in BTP trial account. If you are using your own system or your vendor system, or you took some system from vendor and that system you are using and you can create the customizing request, then you can explore this option in your previous application also. But in this application I will explain how to use this one. There are multiple options in the transport selection. So before going, we have something called the enable transport selection strip. Either it can be selected, you can see either it can be enabled, you can select that checkbox, or it will be disabled. If this option is not selected, a transport selection is made possible using the action button. If you don't select this one particular enable transport selection strip, you don't select, then if this option is not selected, transport selection is made possible using the action button. You will be having one action button. You can click that action button, and using that one pop-up will appear. Then you can use some customizing requests. This selection is this option is selected by default. But if you don't select this option, if you select this option, in that case, whenever you go in the edit mode, then only that button will be enabled to select the transport request. That is very important. And that the transport request information display in the header toolbar. Not only that, the transport request information, which TR your entries will be captured, that TR information also will be displayed on the header of that object page if you enable this transport selection strip. And third thing, if the save action is executed without a selected transport request, you will get the error. You didn't selected any TR and you are clicking on save button, the validation will be triggered and you will get the error. So this is how this transport selection option, this particular strip is working. If you select this one, you will get the TR information. You will have the button that will be disabled during the read only mode. It will be enabled during the edit mode, and you can have a lot of functionality when you select this enable transport selection step. If you don't select, then the button will be available, it will be not enabled disable based on the edit mode, and you have to manually do everything. So based on your requirement, you can check it out how it is working. We will also check once we create our application. Now second option, transport selection. There are three options. These options are coming here. You can see transport selection and enable transport selection screen. That is part of the scenario options only, nothing else. The second option is the transport selection. as of now today also you can see whenever we are creating any transport request, okay, transport request means whenever we are creating the entries table maintenance generated in SE11, that time also we have two options. One is the manual and another is the standard. There in standard, whenever we maintain the entry, it will ask for the TR. We capture those entries in TR, then move in the further system. And if it is select manual, then we maintain the table entries in each and every system separately. The same way we have given here three options. One manual with pre-selection, third is the node transport. Manual means in this manual case, you will be having that button, you have to click that button, you have to select the customizing your TR, then you have to capture the entries in the TR. This is called the manual one. Manual with pre-selection, the select manual with pre-selection to include the action select transport in the generated app. But this one, with this action, you can select an existing customizing transport request before saving the configuration changes, and when the edit action is performed, a customizing transport request is determined automatically. So whenever you are saving that first time you are saving your changes, that time you have to give one time the customizing request, and next time and onwards when you edit those changes, it will automatically capture in that particular TR. You don't need to give each time the transport request. In manual case, you have to give each time the transport request, and you have to capture all the changes in that particular TR. Or if you don't want to capture the entries in the TR, you want to maintain each and every system separately, then you have to select the node transport option. It will not give option that particular to select the TR, that options will be not enabled for your application. So these are the three options, very important. These are the scenario options which we have to know before creating this kind of business configurational app. So let's jump into the system again. So we have discussed all the scenario option. So let me select some of the all the things and try to click on next button. Let me select this manual instead of the manual with pre-selection, and because I want to give each time the manually TR. Anyway, I will be not gonna give, I have to comment something because I'm not able to create the customizing TR in the system, so I will be not able to capture any entries in that. I will disable after the generation of app all the thing manually, but as of now let me generate the code and show you how it is working. Let me click on next button. The first thing we will get the error. If you want to select the add duplicate action, for that this particular field should be available, which we don't have in our table, so I can't use this add duplicate action functionality in my application. So let me deselect, click on next button. Again I got another error. Data consistency check is also not possible because I don't have any field with the foreign key relationship or any field with the domain values. So that also I will not select as of now. If you want to check this option, you can add one gender field in your employee table and give the male female, and you can use this add data consistency option as well if you want to explore this option. Click on next button. Now you can see all the error went away. But most important thing, once this, you can see this screen, so you have to validate each and every name that is for as per your naming standard or not. If it is not naming standard based on your naming convention, then you can come back, you can change these names and you can go back again. So you can see the two draft table is generated, one for your base table, one for your singleton entity, or one for your base table entity, the BC employee entity, and one for the singleton entity. One access control is generated on top of your base entity. We have the metadata extension which also got generated, and we have for copy action button, we have one data definition, we have our one CDS entity for our base table, one CDS entity for the singleton table, we have one behavior pool class, and we have behavior definitions, service binding, service definition. And apart from these two objects, as I told you, we have another object called one is for the business configuration management object, and another is the transport object definition. these two extra objects got created, and other objects we have created in my last application as well. Most of them we have created. We didn't create the access control and all, but most of the objects we have created in my last application, which will be generated automatically here. Let me click on next button and select the appropriate TR and click on finish button. So it will be generating each and every object automatically, which we have created in my last video, one by one everything. We created the base table. Here also we created base table. On top of base table, we have to created the CDS entity. Then we created one singleton entity. On top of the entity, we have created the consumption views. Then we have created the behavior pool on base level and the consumption level. After creating the behavior pool also we have created, service binding we have created, service consumption we have created. These all the things we have created one by one, everything in my previous application. But these all the things will be generated here. Not only these all the things, there will be lot of extra things will be generated automatically, like the access control we didn't created previous video, that also generated. One copy action we didn't created previous video, that also will be generated. For capturing the transport entries, those things we didn't created in my previous video, those also, for those also the entities and everything will be generated. We will see those things and we will try to understand this application which is generated through this particular business configuration, or we can say BC object. So let's activate this one, Control F3. You can see service binding is automatically created. If you have access to the Cubco applications, then directly you can go to that application and you can maintain the table from here itself. But in my case, I don't have that application access. So if you have that access also, then you have to create again the authorization control and everything, and then you have to use. But in that case, as of now, I don't have that application access. In future, if I get some external server instead of trial account, there I will try to show you again this application using the Cubco application as well. But as of now, out of this service binding, we will see the preview and we will try to see how our application look like. So let me go to my service binding, and as of now you can see that my service binding is not published. I have to publish this particular service binding to see in the edit. We have service definition also. Let me open the service definition before publishing, and let me come to service binding and publish it. It will take little bit time. Meanwhile, I will show you the other things. First, my service definition. So service definition is automatically generated. This is having the two entities. One is called the singleton entity, another entity which created on top of our employee table. If you come to your relationship explorer, I might have explained in my CDS series or in RAP series. This is very useful view in our ADT, which will help us to find the relationship between different CDS entity and different business services, service binding and everything. So you can see I can see this is the service binding in the relationship explorer. I can go to this particular CDS entity, and if you open this CDS entity, so here you can see all the information for this CDS entity. What is the behavior definition created, what is the what else it is created. To see that, let me enlarge little bit. So you can see this is the behavior definition, and we have this is the table we have, and on top of this table we have the interface view, and on top of this interface singleton view there is two. One is this is the root entity, and this is the behavior definition, this is the root entity, and this is the child entity. This is the business object, how it will look like. And if I want to show this view in another way, so we can select from here. So currently it is showing as a business object. If I want to show as a core data service, then it will show us the metadata extension file is there or not, if some access control is there or not, those kind of information this relationship explorer will show. So in this case I can see one access control is we are having, and one metadata extension file for this particular interface you have. Or if you want to see all the artifacts which got created, because I have created, that is the reason I have created new package. You can see here itself, you can do F5 here. So all the objects you can see 13 objects got created. in this 13 object, if I will go one by one. We have this base table which we were using. On top of this table only we created all the artifacts. So we created the two draft table, one for the singleton root entity, if you remember from my previous video which we have created, and one for the our table. So if I go one by one step, so first this is our table. On top of this table we have this interface view, and this interface you have the parent called the GI employee table underscore S, and this is the parent, and we have child is our GI underscore employee table. And this root entity, like I explained you in my previous video also, they want always one entry. That is the reason they have selected from I language and put in where condition this language equal to the system language. You will get always one entry from this particular dummy CDS entity, we can say. And we made the join with this left outer join with the employee table because I want the e-take field from this table, so I can get the last change date field. All things I have explained in my previous video. So same kind of applications generated here. So if you watch my previous video, you can easily understand this thing. So again we have the composition child relationship. There is one additional association got created because I want to utilize the transport thing. I want to capture the entries in the transport. That is the reason you can see one additional CDS view they are using for that. That is called the ABAP transport request text. So that for the displaying the text of the transport request. So for that purpose they are using. But apart from that, the same CDS is created here as well. And if you go to the child entity also, they can see singleton ID which we have given the key, that field we have given during the all the object created. That same field they have used here. You can go to your child entity, they have used same field apart from the all other fields, and they have all the other annotation automatically derived for the e tag and the total e tag, and all the things automatically done for you which you have done in my last application manually. On top of this one, we have created the behavior definition. They didn't created the two layer. One is the base and consumption. They directly created the consumption layer itself. You can see the behavior definition got created here. In the behavior definition, they have used the all the draft actions and the validations they have used. We will discuss this all the things one by one, no need to worry. So they have used the singleton field as a read only, and transport request ID field they want to change based on the instance feature control. And you can understand this application if you went through my RAP course thoroughly. You can easily understand this application. There is nothing new is there. Whatever I have explained throughout this course, if you come here, you will able to relate easily instead of explaining each and everything in detail. So I already published this application. Let me preview my application. That is very important for us because automatically got created. So no need to, if you understand the RAP, you can go through the code and understand how this application got generated. If I preview my application, let me click on go button. You can see how we created in my last video. Same kind of application got created. We have the singleton root entity with one entry. As soon as I click here, I can have child entity where I can click on edit button. Unfortunately or fortunately, the edit button is disabled because I don't have access to edit this particular table. So let me go through my behavior definition. So for that, I have to go through, as I told you, you can use the relationship explorer as well, and you can go to your service binding, you can go to the base CDS view, and you can use as a business object, and you can go to the behavior definition. This is the ways you can go, traverse to one object to another object, and you can see what is the behavior pool class. Control click on that one, behavior pool class, and I want to go to the local types, and I want to see what all are the methods got generated. Since I don't have access currently, I know already from this application get global authorization is there, which is using this standard authorization object. to check that you have authorization or not. Obviously I don't have authorization because it is BTP trial account, but what I can do, I can comment it out this code, so it will not check authorization for me. And let me activate this one, Control F3. Not only in this one, I have something called the, let me go through all the method. Get instance feature. In the get instance feature, we have all the, they are, because we have different transport request button, all, let me see, we will try to see these all the things, but I have something called the get global authorization, that's which I have commented. I think now it should work. Get global feature, get global authorization for my, again this is for the G employee table, and that was for the, I think, singleton table. So let me disable this for this also, for another entity also. They have created different local classes, so let me disable this also, get global authorization. I think this is for the action, okay, to enable the actions, that we will see later. I have activated. Let me go to my application and refresh my application. Ideally the edit button should enable now. It got enabled because I have given myself authorization by commenting the code. Let me click on edit button. Now I will be having option to create the new entries as well. So let me create new entry. I have to give new employee ID. Let me give 1. Continue. Let's give first name Ram, Nimas, department SAP. I can give anything as per your requirement. Joining date, you can give today's date. By the way, today is 1st January, so happy new year to all. I'm creating this video on the new year, so that is the reason you can see 1st January. And you are active employee, and change by my name, I can give Ram. So let me click on apply. So you can see new entry got created. Let me click on the save button. You can, if you are not able to see my screen properly, so in the corner I'm getting these options. Right bottom corner, draft is updated. If you want to save or discard the draft, let me click on save button and see the entries are saving or not. As soon as I click on save button, I am getting the error, specify a transport request, because I didn't specify any transport request. So that is the reason I got this particular error. But as of now I don't have any transport request, because I can't create the customizing transport request in this case. So that is the reason I don't have any transport request scenario. So for that purpose, what I will do, I will skip this validation in my code. So let me go to the code and let me go to my validations, which will be during the save. So let me go to my root entity, and if you want to see all the outlines, you can see here, and you can see here again what is the usefulness of outline if you have so many local classes. So you can see I have one local class called this is for the, I think this is general local class, and this is for behavior handler for our root entity, and this again for the behavior saver class. And the behavior saver class, we have save modified method, that is fine, I don't want to see. And this is, we are having here behavior handler, and I want to check the validations. So validate the transport request, something called here. I have to comment this particular part of the code. Let me click on control click, and I don't want to validate my transport request. Let me comment it out this code. Or you can, when you generate the application, don't select this transport, you just select no transport, you will not get this kind of issues. So let me control F3. And let me refresh my application and click on save button again. So now if I click on save, my object got saved, but you can see I'm not able to see the entries in my table. But if I click on edit button, I can see now entries. If I click on save, my entries are disappearing. When I am modifying, I have access to see the entries, but when I am displaying, I don't have access to see the entries. Why it is happening? Because we don't have access to see the entries using the CDS view. So in the CDS, we have defined the access control. So if you see this particular CDS view, let me go to my CDS view, and not here. Service definition, I'm using G employee table. Let me go to the relationship explorer and let me go to my base CDS view, and for that let me see the as a core data service instead of seeing as a business object. And I can see one access control is there. You can see one access control is there, so which is checking against this particular activity 3G display. I don't have access again. To avoid this scenario, let me go to my CDS. Instead of here check, I will use, I don't want to check, or I can use here not allowed, means it will no access control shall exist. Not required, I can use, I don't want syntax error, I can use not allowed. And let me do Control F3. And let me refresh my application. This time when I am displaying a application also, that time also I should able to see the application. Let me refresh it out. If all the concepts are clear, then you will be able to see easily what it is happening and where I have to go and change the application. Because when you generate the application first time, you will face a lot of issues. Then you have to go and do the analysis. If you know all the wrap concept throughout the series, then you will be able to find out easily what it is happening. So I got the access now. I'm able to see the entries now in the display mode also. So let's test it out. Go and see the copy selected entries are working or not. Let me go to edit mode, select this entry, copy button is again disabled. To enable this button, again I know what is the issue, I don't have access. So let me go to my application again. Behavior pool class I have to go. So I have already one behavior pool class, GBP employee table as. Let me go to outline. This time I have to go in my singleton root entity, not here, gate global features. So you can see gate global feature is fine, gate global authorization. So in this, if I don't have this table access, this copy employee table is not authorized. So for that, to get this action, let me comment again this authorization check, which I don't want. Control F3 and refresh my application so I can get the access for the copy button as well. Let me refresh my application. Let me select this entry. You can see now copy selected entry is enabled. Copy selected entry, you have to give the new employee ID name. Copy the selected entry. You can change the name here itself. Krishna, or last name, something you can give, Radha, or SAP is fine. Jan 1 2025 is active, and click on save button. It will be saved in the table. Let's see the backend database table also. It is saved or not. That is very important for me. Obviously it is saved. That is the reason it is displaying. We created now only this table, so you can see both the entries are saved successfully. Not only saved option, other options are working. You can edit this one, check it out, create, delete, everything is working. Apart from that one, we have not selected, I think so, this option. Let me go to my PPT. I think we didn't selected this option, or we selected the enable transport selection strip. If you don't select this enable transport selection strip, as per our theory, we will be having here one transport request button as well. You can select this transport and manually capture the changes in the TR. That also will happen. But as of now, as I told you, I don't have access to create the customizing request, so I'm not able to capture and show you the entries in the transport. That is possible from our end. If you create any application using the BC configuration, it will be having these many features. First, your business object will be the draft enable, and it will be the managed application. Second, all the authorization control on top of the table will be using this authorization object s underscore tabu underscore nam. So that we have disabled in our case because I don't have authorization in trial account. So this authorization is used using the access control also, CDL, and using the code in the behavior pool as well. It is used automatically. So that I have disabled, then I was able to access the application. The concurrency control, if you define the timestamp field properly in your table, then concurrency control will be happen automatically without doing the single line of code. Fourth thing, the transport API, the business configuration transport API is used to capture the changes in the TR. Unfortunately, I was not able to show you. I will try to show you this application with the transport request, how we can handle. Once I will get some system access there, I can capture the changes in the TR and I will be able to show you. Or if you have already system access, it's not much thing. You can explore this thing your own as well. Again, to enable the mass editing, the manual transport selection, a singleton root entity is a part of the generated data model. Like, since this is the this will be created the multi-line transactional editable application. So for that, this will be automatically created for you. You no need to create the singleton root entity, then the child entity, then do the association, create the behavior. Those all things you no need to do. Everything will be done for you. Last but not least, the internal numbering is used to key field with the ABAP type row 16. It is automatically done internally. You no need to worry. So all the features are available with the generated app. With that, we have completed this video. I hope you learned something from this video. Please like this video, subscribe this channel, whatever you are feeling, comment it down in the comment section, share these videos with others as well. With that, thank you and happy learning, and once again, happy new year.